In this video, guys, we are going to look at overconfidence and trade position sizing. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining me. All right, so you're in a position where you've had a good quarter, good month, whatever it may be, a good year, and you say, okay, now I want to increase my position size. You have restrained yourself from doing it for a period of time, which I always recommend. Have a chunk of time, whether it's a 30-day, 90-day window, whatever, and say, hey, I'm going to trade for this. I'm going to get the results. I'm going to see where I am. Not only can you start to dissect down your setups, you can also dissect and see where you could increase size, where you couldn't and stuff. But putting that to one side, let's assume you've had traction in the markets and you start to think now, well, I've made X in that quarter. If I increase my position size, then I'm going to make more if I just carry on what I'm doing. And ultimately we start thinking, and I don't know about you, but when I was first starting out, I would always think, okay, well, if I can get to 10 times my position size, let's say I'm starting out and trading one contract in the futures market or whatever, 100 shares. If I can get to 10 contracts, then even if I'm not necessarily 10xing my revenue from the quarter, I'm still going to be way ahead. And that, you always got that in your mind, but you never want to jump from 1 to 10x, whatever size you're trading, you never want to go, okay, because that's just going to ruin your psychology. And we've done a video specifically about that, and I'm going to do another couple. We'll talk about how to increase size the right way, in my opinion, and how you can not make it such a brutal increase that just ruins your trading. But anyway, the point of this video, guys, is to think about how overconfidence can play a factor and how you've got to be very careful when you're increasing your position size that overconfidence isn't clouding your judgment. Now, there's nothing wrong with confidence. You need confidence in trading no matter what. You have to be confident that the position you've got is going to work out, confident that you're going to be able to pull the trigger on a stop if it doesn't work out, all these other things, so you have to have it. But you've got to be careful you don't step into the overconfidence section. And that is when you are putting too much weight on your skill set and your ability as a trader, and you are dismissing the other things that maybe played a factor in your good performance. So you got the scenario, you've had a good quarter, you've made some money, you're thinking of increasing your position size. Now, what you've got to really be careful of, guys, is that if you increase your position size too soon at the wrong moment, you'll end up doing obviously more damage because the losses will be more than there would have been in the smaller size. So you've got to be careful, you've got to be mindful. And the first thing you need to look at is, if you're, say, you're analyzing a quarter or a month or whatever it is and you're about to increase your position size, go, okay, what were the conditions like? Were they really, really perfect for my trading, and I just literally had to be in the right place at the right time? Let's say your strategy is to be buying wolf flags and it was just a very, very strong momentum market in the stocks or in the markets you were trading, then the conditions are perfect. You can't get better conditions. You are probably going to come out on top very, very well if your strategies align with that. So, how much weight did you put on conditions? What if conditions changed? Is that going to impact your profitability? But how much will they change? Will it impact profitability? So you've got to be mindful, conditions aren't always the same. So just keeping your eye on that. Then you've got to look at the obvious thing, guys, of luck. Sometimes luck plays a big part in trading, and we have to accept that. Yes, we can improve our skill. Yes, we can increase all the things that make us better traders, but ultimately luck does play a role in each individual trade. Over time it will be smoothed out, but if you're looking at a small section like a quarter, you go, well, actually, I got a little bit lucky on some of those trades because they came really close to my stop, or I got a little bit of lucky good news a couple of times that helped boost the market, or I was in crude oil and all of a sudden this came out. You've got to really be very, very objective to this and say, and it's nothing against you saying, it's not saying, well, I'm just a lucky trader. It's good to have luck as well. You need the luck. You can build your skill, and the skill is going to carry you so far, but you're also going to have some components of luck, and accepting that helps as well. So, how much of your performance was down to luck? And again, it's being very objective and very clinical about it and saying, hey, you know what? It is what it is. And then we've got one or two good trades. So sometimes you can be deceived into thinking you've had a good quarter, when in reality it was maybe one or two good trades that lifted the quarter or the month or whatever it may be. And so again, being objective and going back and saying, okay, it was a great quarter, but in reality my performance wasn't perfect. I got good trades, a couple of really good trades that boosted it into an abnormal return. And so for me to increase position size would be kind of false because I'm only increasing it because of one or two great trades. Now, That's not to say you can't use that data and go, well, how can I get more of those 1 or 2 great trades? Of course, but from a position sizing perspective, maybe a blanket increase in position size on everything isn't the answer. Maybe the answer is to identify what is the commonality between those great trades and try and make more of those, or try and increase the position size on those specifically. So again, being very objective rather than just looking at the underlying number. And then you can think of lucky escapes. And I can think of many of these guys where I've thought I've had a great quarter or whatever, and actually look back and gone, you kind of forgotten where you got away with something there. You had a horrible drawdown on a specific stock or a specific day where your discipline wasn't quite in tune, or whatever it may be, and you've recovered from it and you've conveniently forgotten about it. And in reality, if you had another one of those with increased size, it would be game over for the quarter. You'd have an awful quarter. So, just again, objective review and looking and saying, hey, did I have some lucky escapes? Did I break discipline and I got away with it? What happened? Let me just be sure that this number is a legitimate number and it's not based on 1 or 2 events that could have gone either way. And one of those is that lucky escapes things. And then before you increase, and let's say you've done all this and you've said, right, the conditions are normal, they're not excessively good for me. It's been, and by the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't increase your position size if conditions have been good, because they may still be good for the next year. You don't know that. But just being aware that conditions are ripe at the moment for your strategy, and just being aware that, hey, how do I know when they've shifted? How do I know when volatility is contracted? How do I know when we are in a range bound condition, and when will I stop being as aggressive with my momentum trades, or whatever it may be? So I'm not saying you don't use that, but just being aware of it. So once you've gone through all these and you say, okay, the conditions were fine. I don't think there's extra weight on those. I didn't specifically have a lot of luck. I had some good luck, some bad luck. It was a bit 50-50. Yes, I had a couple of good trades, but the others were good as well. And without those, I'd still have a good quarter. Did I have any lucky escapes? No, not really. I didn't really have anything where it was close to blowing up or anything crazy like that. Right, so now you go to your ability to handle more size mentally. Because before you dial the size up, again, back to the overconfidence thing, if you think, yeah, I can handle any size, then you're kind of kidding yourself, because at some point, the size will be too great for you to trade the normal way. Give you an example. Let's say you're trading, let's just say you came 1 contract now, £1 a point. And all of a sudden I said to you, right, here you go, you're now trading 1,000 contracts, £1,000 a point. You are up 50 points. How are you going to feel? You are going to feel, when you've been trading one, that this is an extortionate amount of money relative, and regardless of what your net worth is and all that other stuff, you're going to think, wow, I'm up so much. And you're going to want to take that money because you don't want to see it coming back to 20k up. You're thinking, 50k, 100k, oh, the swings are going to have so much more meaning to you. And I know it's extreme going from 1 to 1,000, but at some point in the middle is where it doesn't affect you as much. And so, to believe that you can just increase the size, whatever, and it not affect you, it's a little bit naive. So at some point, you need to say, okay, what is my ability going to be like to handle increasing size mentally? Am I going to be able to deal with a drawdown of 1.5x? Let's say you're increasing your size by half. Am I going to increase, 1.5x or whatever size? Obviously, you can't do that if you're trading 1 contract, you can't do 1.5 contracts, but you get the point. You're trading 100 shares, you can do 150 shares, no problem. So what's your ability going to be like to deal with the drawdown that comes with trading that size with your plan? So let's say you're risking, $200 on a trade. How are you going to feel when you're risking $300 on a trade? Is that going to feel harsher to you? What about if you have 4 losers in a row? Is that going to make you trade differently? So again, not being overconfident, saying I can deal with anything, understanding the consequences, positive and negative, of increasing that position size. So just be mindful of that, guys. I'm not saying we shouldn't be confident. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to increase size with the right framework and the right boundaries, because that's how it grows in a trader. That's how we improve as a trader. That's how we make more money eventually. If we're having good quarters. But you're still being self-aware enough to recognise the conditions play a part, the luck, all the other things we talked about, and then saying, okay, I've made an objective assessment, and my ultimate decision is to increase the size by X, or to not increase size until the next quarter, or whatever it may be. So just being mindful of that, guys, and thinking about it. Anyway, that's overconfidence and trade position sizing. Any thoughts on that? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, do check out our channel sponsor. There's a link to them in the description. Take care. Bye-bye.